When Monica stepped into her father's room at 6 a.m., she thought he was just sleeping. But then she saw his face, pale, cold, and still, and he wasn't breathing. Gerald Whitman is 74 years old, a retired firefighter from Ohio, a man who once ran into burning buildings without blinking. But on that quiet Tuesday morning, his heart stopped. No warning, no pain, just silence. Paramedics were able to revive him within minutes, and the doctors called it a miracle. But what shocked Monica most wasn't the event. It was what the doctor said afterward. This wasn't just about age. It was about what your father does every night before bed. She thought he had healthy habits. He didn't smoke. He walked every morning. He even took his vitamins. But as it turns out, Gerald's nightly routine, things he had done for years, were quietly increasing his risk of stroke, heart failure, and sudden death in his sleep. He was slowly sabotaging his own body without realizing it. This video is for anyone over 70, or with a parent or grandparent in that age group. We're going to uncover 5 bedtime habits that seem harmless but can silently threaten your life. And more importantly, we'll show you what to do instead to protect your heart, your brain, and your independence. These are small changes that could mean the difference between waking up tomorrow and not waking up at all. So let's go back to that night. The last night Gerald followed his usual routine, and let's look at what went wrong, one habit at a time. Mr. Gerald loved his evening steak at 8 p.m. But one night he woke up choking, vomiting, and gasping for air. He said it felt like his body was drowning from the inside out. That night scared him, and it terrified Monica even more. When they rushed him to the ER, the doctor didn't talk about heart disease or stroke first. Instead, he asked a simple question: when was your last meal? What they discovered shocked them. It wasn't the steak itself. It was the timing. For years, Gerald had been eating late, thinking it was no big deal. But at 74, his body no longer processed food like it used to. What used to be a satisfying evening meal had quietly turned into a nightly assault on his heart and lungs. When you eat late at night, especially after 7 or 8 p.m., your body is forced to keep working when it's supposed to rest. Instead of focusing on cellular repair, hormonal balance, and deep restorative sleep, your system gets stuck in digestion mode. Your stomach churns, acid builds, your heart rate stays elevated, and your blood pressure refuses to drop. For seniors like Gerald, this imbalance can be dangerous. Night after night, it chips away at the heart's recovery window, raising the risk of strokes and silent cardiovascular events during sleep. But there's more. That night, Gerald didn't just suffer from indigestion. What he experienced was likely a reflux event, known medically as GERD. As we age, the muscles that keep stomach acid where it belongs get weaker. When you lie flat after a heavy or even a moderately rich meal, that acid can creep up into the esophagus. In some cases, especially in older adults, it can be inhaled into the lungs. This leads to something called aspiration pneumonia, a condition that's often misdiagnosed and can become life-threatening without warning. And here's the common mistake many seniors make. They say, "But I didn't eat much, just a sandwich or a bowl of soup." What they don't realize is that many of these light meals are packed with carbohydrates, hidden fats, and spices that are difficult to digest. The body doesn't care if it's small. It cares if it's complex. And complexity takes time, effort, and energy that your body simply doesn't have at night. According to a 2019 study published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology, seniors who eat after 8 p.m. are 60% more likely to experience acid reflux episodes that interrupt sleep. Over time, those episodes are linked to higher rates of inflammation, arrhythmia, and even sudden cardiac events in people over 70. The good news is, change doesn't have to be complicated. Gerald began eating dinner by 6:30 p.m. No more red meat late at night. He swapped heavy sauces for steamed vegetables. And when he felt hungry before bed, he reached for a small handful of almonds or a warm cup of ginger tea. Just that small shift made his nights quieter, his sleep deeper, and his mornings brighter. But Gerald's story doesn't end there, because fixing what you eat is only one part of the puzzle. The next danger to his sleep came from something we all believe is healthy, but can turn deadly if done at the wrong time. Just one warm glass of water at 9 p.m. sent Mr. Gerald to the bathroom 3 times that night, and on the last trip, he nearly didn't make it back to bed. It happened so fast. The 3rd time he stood up, his vision blurred. His knees buckled. He reached for the wall but missed, hitting the floor with a thud loud enough to wake Monica in the next room. His blood pressure had dropped too quickly, a condition called postural hypotension, which is far more common after 70. When seniors stand up suddenly, especially at night, their blood pressure can't adjust fast enough. Combine that with weakened pelvic muscles and nighttime fatigue, and the result is often a fall. Sometimes minor, sometimes life-changing. Gerald was lucky. He didn't break a bone that night, but the fear stayed with him, and it stayed with Monica too. Because that fall didn't happen because he was clumsy. It happened because of something that was supposed to be healthy. For years, he drank warm water every night before bed. He'd read somewhere that it helps detoxify the body and improve sleep. But no one ever told him that after a certain age, even good habits need to be timed right. Young people can wake up, use the bathroom, and fall right back asleep. But seniors, each trip to the bathroom breaks the sleep cycle. The brain struggles to return to deep rest. And without that deep stage of sleep, the body can't repair itself. It can't regulate memory. It can't restore immune balance. Night after night, this pattern slowly chips away at energy, balance, and clarity. According to the Sleep Foundation, seniors who get up to urinate 2 or more times per night have a 44% higher risk of nighttime falls. That's not just a number. That's someone's grandmother slipping on a tile floor. That's someone's father hitting their head on the way down. And the worst part, it's often preventable. Gerald had to unlearn a habit he thought was helping him. Instead of drinking a full glass at 9, he began tapering off water by 5 p.m. During the day, he drank plenty small amounts consistently. He avoided soup at dinner, swapped juicy fruits like watermelon for bananas, and if he felt thirsty later, he took tiny sips instead of gulps. The result? Fewer trips, deeper sleep, and peace of mind for him and for Monica. But while Gerald had now conquered late-night trips to the bathroom, there was still something else disturbing his sleep. Something that felt comforting, even cozy, but was secretly making every night harder and more dangerous than the one before. Mr. Gerald kept his bedroom at 75 degrees F because he hated feeling cold at night. But every morning he woke up with a soaked shirt, a pounding head, and a body that felt like it never slept at all. He thought warmth meant comfort. Like most people in their 70s, Gerald associated cold nights with aching joints and stiff muscles. So he cranked the thermostat, added 2 heavy blankets, and went to bed. But his sleep didn't feel restful. He was tossing, sweating, and waking up more tired than before. What Monica later learned from his doctor was eye-opening. The problem wasn't just the heat. It was what that heat was doing to Gerald's heart while he slept. As we age, our ability to regulate body temperature weakens. The body cools down naturally before deep sleep begins, but when the room is too warm, that process gets blocked. Instead of drifting into the REM stage where the brain repairs and memory resets, the body stays alert. The heart keeps working hard, trying to lower the core temperature that never drops, and that silent struggle continues hour after hour. What's more, even mild overheating can cause the body to lose fluid without us noticing. Seniors already have a reduced thirst response, so they don't realize when they're becoming dehydrated. But dehydration at night thickens the blood, and thick blood moves slowly, clots easily, and raises the risk of stroke, heart attack, and sudden cardiac arrest. That groggy feeling some older adults wake up with. It's not just poor sleep. It could be a warning. Studies from the National Sleep Foundation and the NIH show that people who sleep in rooms around 66 degrees F experience 20% more deep sleep compared to those in 75 degrees F environments. That means a cooler room isn't just more comfortable, it literally heals you better, restores your brain, strengthens your heart. Once Gerald made the switch, the difference was night and day. He traded his synthetic comforter for a breathable cotton blanket, set his thermostat to 65 degrees F, left the window slightly cracked for fresh air, and placed a small bowl of water near the vent to keep humidity balanced. The first night he was unsure. By the third, he was sleeping through the night. By the seventh, he told Monica, "I feel like I finally slept for the first time in years." But there was still one more habit Gerald hadn't questioned. One more thing he had done for decades, thinking it was harmless. In truth, it was the quietest danger of all, and it came down to how he slept, not just when or where. Monica said, "I used to hear him snore, then complete silence for 10 seconds, and suddenly a sharp gasp, like someone being pulled out of water. It happened more than once. Gerald would fall asleep on his back, breathe heavily, then stop. Monica didn't think much of it at first. After all, snoring runs in the family. But what she didn't realize was that this wasn't just snoring. It was a warning sign. Each pause in breathing meant his airway had collapsed, blocking oxygen from reaching his brain. In those silent seconds, Gerald's heart was working overtime just to keep his body alive. Sleeping on your back might seem harmless. For many, it even feels like the most comfortable position. But as we age, comfort can be deceptive. When seniors lie flat, the tongue and soft tissues naturally relax and fall backward, narrowing or blocking the airway. This leads to a condition called obstructive sleep apnea, which causes repeated interruptions in breathing throughout the night. The result: chronic oxygen deprivation, increased blood pressure, and added stress on the heart. According to the Harvard Sleep Lab, people over 70 who sleep on their back have 2-6 times higher risk of nighttime respiratory issues compared to those who sleep on their side. But most seniors don't notice. There's no pain, no alarm, just fatigue in the morning, headaches, memory lapses, or unexplained anxiety. Often, these signs get brushed off as normal aging, when in fact they point to a dangerous pattern quietly forming during sleep. Gerald's mistake was common, he thought. As long as I'm comfortable, I'm fine. But the truth is, what you don't feel can still harm you. Sleep apnea doesn't hurt, it steals. It steals energy, clarity, and in some cases, years of life. That night when Monica witnessed the silence followed by gasping, she convinced Gerald to change his sleeping position. It wasn't easy at first, but with a firm body pillow behind his back and one between his knees, he started sleeping on his left side. They raised the head of his bed slightly, about 10 centimeters. Within days, the snoring faded. His morning headaches stopped. He felt more alert, more grounded. It was like his body had finally caught its breath. For Gerald, each small change built on the last. But there was one final lesson Monica learned during this journey. A quiet truth most people overlook. Because sleep isn't just rest, it's a nightly negotiation between life and health. And the way we enter it can change everything. Every night, Mr. Gerald turned off the lights and turned on the TV. He said the sound helped him relax, made him feel less alone. He never watched it. Just let the soft glow and distant voices fill the room until sleep came. For years, it was his routine. Monica didn't question it. It seemed harmless, comforting even. But what neither of them knew was that the faint light from the screen was doing more than keeping him company. It was quietly disrupting his brain's ability to rest, repair, and remember. The problem lies in the kind of light we're exposed to before and during sleep. Blue light, from televisions, smartphones, even small LED alarm clocks, suppresses melatonin production, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to sleep. And for older adults like Gerald, whose melatonin levels are already lower due to age, this suppression makes it even harder to fall into deep, restorative sleep. The kind of sleep that clears mental fog, strengthens memory, and stabilizes mood. It's not just about feeling tired the next day. A study by Chicago University in 2022 found that seniors exposed to light levels as low as 5 lux in the bedroom had a 1.8 times greater risk of memory loss and cognitive decline over time. That's less light than a nightlight. It doesn't take much to cause harm. Light at night confuses the body. It sends the wrong signal, tells the brain, stay alert, stay awake, even when the eyes are closed. And then there's the noise. Gerald insisted he needed background sound to fall asleep. It helps me switch off, he said. But experts now understand that needing external noise to sleep is often a sign of a mild sleep disturbance. The body isn't naturally relaxing, it's being distracted, and the brain never fully powers down. Monica helped her father rethink his routine. They replaced the TV with a soft red night lamp, set it to turn off automatically. She introduced him to white noise, gentle rain, ocean waves. And she taught him a breathing pattern called 4-7-8. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. It was awkward at first, but after a week, Gerald stopped asking for the remote. His mind began to quiet without artificial light or chatter, and his dreams returned. Sleep is not just the absence of noise or light. It's the presence of safety, stillness, and rhythm. And as Gerald's nights became quieter, something else became clearer too. The path to healing had never been in a pill or a screen. It had always been in the choices he made before closing his eyes. Mr. Gerald didn't need sleeping pills. He just needed to eat dinner earlier, cool down the room, shift to his left side, and stop drinking water too late. After 30 days of simple changes, everything felt different. He slept through the night without waking once. The morning dizziness disappeared. His blood pressure dropped from 145/90 to 125/78. But perhaps more important than the numbers was the peace Monica saw in his face each morning. A kind of quiet that only comes when the body finally feels safe again. She once thought that fixing sleep at his age would take a prescription or some expensive machine, but all it took was attention, patience, and love. I can't save every senior, she told me, but I saved my father, not by doing something big, just by noticing the little things he did every night and helping him choose better. And maybe that's what we all need to remember. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. Don't wait until your body fails to change the way you treat it. Don't wait for a fall, a hospital stay, or a silent night that ends too soon. Start tonight. Even one change, 1 degree lower on the thermostat, 1 glass of water skipped, 1 pillow placed right, can add up to something bigger than we imagine. If you have a parent or grandparent over 70, send them this video. You might be giving them more than just information. You might be giving them another birthday, another holiday, another morning where they wake up feeling strong, steady, and still here. Because sleep isn't just where we rest. It's where we heal, where we remember who we are, and where we choose night after night to stay.